Back now for episode 7 of the No Limit Sports Podcast, Sports Plug 757, WTKR News 3. An exciting weekend for some of our teams, guys. We have 4 newly crowned state champions from the spring sports.
Go, yes sir. We got a couple. I know you were up there, but so I kind of let you briefly hit on Ocean Lakes. So I think we should start there. So Ocean Lakes was kind of like to me it was a surprise. I think everybody had kind of written, even though they were very good this year. I think they were 20-5 this year.
Lost to Cox twice in the regular season.
Twice. Their first 2 losses to Cox. Everybody kind of had Cox as the favorite, and so coming out of like the region, they went into extra innings. I think it was 2-1, and that I feel like that gave them a little momentum going into the postseason because Cox is considered, in VA. I know they were a top 3 team. They were considered the big dog, and so to be able to capitalize off of that going into the playoffs, they saw them again, which is crazy that we could have a 7-5. That's exciting to have a 7-5-7 matchup. I kind of let you get into that as well, but they were able to take the crown. And ultimately, bring it home, and it's their first championship in baseball. So I was seeing
which surprised me. That surprised me. It was their first state championship in baseball because Ocean Lakes is such a baseball tradition there. But yes, very cool to have an all 7-5-7 state championship game and a 2-1 baseball game that goes to extra innings. You might be thinking, oh boy, it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great game.
Yes, sir.
They were putting the ball in play. The defense was making plays. There were some strikeouts. There were some plays in the field, some clutch hits, and then the sac fly by Ryan Gosio to win it in the bottom of the 9th. I mean, it was everything a state championship game should be between 2 of our baseball powerhouses. Not to mention they're in the same district, right?
Yeah.
And that district also has First Colonial in it, and Kellam in it, and Princess Anne.
Which they also lost the First Colonial twice too. So to even be in that position means a lot.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was fun to see. We saw a bunch of teams up there too. Obviously, they didn't fare as well. Some made the state finals, but weren't able to cash in. But still, great. Another great showing by our 7-5-7 teams.
It sounds like it. I mean, you see a lot of times in different sports where you get to the state championships and it might still end up being a lot to a little. So to hear that this game went into extra innings and you said just as low as 2 points in the winning on the winning side, that's remarkable. I think that it sounds like it was a good game. It sounds like all hands were on deck from both organizations, and hats off to both of them teams for being there. I think that's pretty good.
And Ocean Lake scored 17 runs in the semifinals.
In the semifinals, 17 to 10.
They scored 9 runs in the first inning, and then they held on for a 17-10 win because it ended up being 9-8 at one point.
Yeah.
So they used a lot of pitching in that game, but to your point, Drew, they were still able to kind of come back and get that. Luke Ellison was just a monster on the mound for them, and Cox played great. But just, hey, in those games, one little thing can mean the difference, and Ocean Lake's getting it done. So really good stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. So then from there we switched to we pivot to Poquoson girls soccer. For them, they won the Class 2 girls soccer championship. For them, it was a season of highs and lows. They started off with 6 wins and then went on a 5-game losing streak, and then ended the season on another 6-game winning streak, including the championship. And so just to be able to, withstand the highs and the lows, because that's any season. Being an athlete, any sport, being an athlete, you understand no matter how low you get, you have to stick with it and just honor what you know. And so you can see that those girls, they put the work in, they made the adjustments, and they were able to bring home another class crown. Excuse me, this is also their first championship in their program.
For Poquoson girls soccer, is it really? Okay.
Too. So it's some history being made all over the 7-5-7. It was like a really exciting weekend. We had, some teams that didn't win, but, for the ones that did bring it home, it was just, it's an honor to be able to see that, sometimes these sports in the lower classes get overlooked, but, it doesn't matter. It's the playing field is made to be even, and so they won in a they were supposed to win, and they got it done.
You can only play who's in front of you, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. And then they were not the only soccer team to hoist the crown.
We got Jamestown boys get back to their winning ways. It's their second championship in 3 years, actually.
Peninsula strong.
Jamestown,
right?
Yeah, that side of the water going crazy for the spring, but they ended the season, 18-2-1. If around on our lives and such, we talk about teams like how battle tested are they, and so Jamestown kind of played all over different districts. They played Jamestown this year. They are Jamestown. They played Kellam this year, lost 2-1. Kellam won the Region 5A, and so it's for the
state finalists.
So they went up and they made things happen. their other loss was to Smithfield, which is an in division opponent. You can kind of understand that because we're higher stakes. Underdogs tend to play a little harder. But that was the only 2 losses this season. They actually outscored their opponents. I was looking when I went back; it was 88-9. And so defense wins defense wins championships, and that's not just football. That's every sport. And so I just thought their run was very impressive. They that's their 6th championship in that programs for Jamestown soccer history. So perennially. They're there. This time they got over the hump, and I'm looking forward. They got a lot coming back, so we might be looking at a repeat there. And the last one would just be Northampton soccer. People,
Eastern Shore.
They're on Eastern Shore, but they are still 7-5-7, and so it's our job to, from the top dog to the little dog, right? We should look at it. They three-peated. Northampton, they just won.
And did they put up like 7 goals? Didn't they? They scored a lot.
Yes, sir. They've been dominant in the Class 1, and so no matter what you're looking at, the three-peat is a three-peat. You got to get there and you got to execute and you have to win. And so I just think shout out to Northampton, for I don't know if they've gotten the recognition before, but we're definitely paying attention now, and it's just.
I wanted to add to that. You said something good. It's not like and I don't want anybody to think it's not like a top dog, the lower level dog, anything like that. All dogs in their class, they're top dog in the in 1A.
Explain that for me.
So
my bad.
it's all good. It's all good. At the same time, it's just more so maybe just one team might have more exposure than the other.
Yes,
that's
sir.
just how I like to look at it now. So for these guys to get to this level and be able to be successful there, it's really big.
Totally.
And for our regular consumers, we might get wrapped up in football, basketballs, and things like that. But I love the fact that these types of organizations, these schools, of course, can still share those victories and fight for other things when we're talking about soccer, baseball, and so on and so forth. It's just as important. So just to hear those statistics, and I think that more people should know it for sure. I mean, it's seeming like they're breeding the right type of culture and mentality that it takes to play the sport over there. So again, it's not more so lower level. We understand what it takes to be classified in the classes
enrollment
that you are.
size.
Absolutely,
that's all it is.
Pretty much. Other than that, shout out to all of our teams that have been crowned and what they've done this far. And that, again, it doesn't negate what SP Dom said. Again, it's just clarifying that everybody is I believe that is at a level, and it's just all about who has that spotlight on them at that time.
Some of it's just where you live, right?
Right,
where you live and what's around. I do want to. I know I'm kind of putting you guys on the spot here, but you mentioned Kellum, and Kellum was in the 5A Class 5 finals
for everything.
For everything. So I'm going boys soccer here. And they were in the semis against Riverside. I want to get your guys' take on this. And it was overtime. It was just one of the sudden death overtime periods. It was tied at 1 with Riverside. And Kellum had a free kick, probably just over midfield. And as the player is running up, the whistle blows. I heard it as the whistle to kick the ball, go ahead. And Riverside player catches it. It wasn't the goalie. Another player catches it. In the box.
Yeah.
Is it called the box? Inside the 18-yard line.
There we go.
And so it's a penalty kick because it's a handball. Now, the Riverside fan base and players were saying they heard another whistle and they were being told to stop. But the refs talked. They awarded Kellum a penalty kick. Kellum makes it in sudden death overtime and wins, goes to the state finals. But one, what a way to win/lose. And two, there are a couple of schools of thought here. We're not going to show it because I kind of have a policy where I never show a kid making a mistake at the high school level. I just,
Right.
Yeah. But like on one hand, like, all right, if a whistle blew, that's not good. It would probably be very easy to re-kick it.
Right.
On the other hand, I mean, don't touch the ball.
Touch. Like touch with anything else. Don't give the referees, the chance to decide whether you thought it was or not. That is a tough place to be as an official, as a player on either side. It's like you don't want to. You don't really want to win that way. It's like you want to make it fair. But I mean, that's a really tough one. I don't know how to feel about it. Like, because you think about it prospectively from all sides, and it could have, could have gone, either way. It was a 1-1 game. Just let them play some more. It's at that point it's deadlock. So the team, they're not scrubs, obviously. So that's tough. But I mean, ultimately, Kellum wins.
But ouch, right?
You would rather see. I want to see more ball myself. I'm always a fan. I'm a defensive fan. No matter what sport it is. So it's like to have it end like that. It's kind of sour. But I mean, that's when my bias can come out. Sports Plug 757.
Absolutely.
For the area. So that's
you never know
where I stand.
You never know what you're going to see when you go to the yard, right?
That's
Exactly. And I think that's a good way to kind of transition. At the high school level, youth sports, right, guys? I mean, I think we always talk so much about instilling values and sportsmanship and everything like that. And as you get older, I think you kind of develop your own sense of what might be right and what might be wrong, and what what's a little bit over the top and what is just pure emotion. So we had talked before this about coming in here about kind of getting into the sportsmanship discussion, just kind of about hey, what is what is sport? What is emotional but sportsmanlike, and what kind of maybe might go a little bit over the top? So very curious to hear you guys and kind of what your thoughts are. You guys are in the high school scene, kind of embedded in there, and you see all the emotions and everything like that. And I'm just curious to kind of see, hear your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, it depends on which sport, like the gladiator sports, like football, the hockey, even field hockey could be in there too. I just feel like with football, you can be a little bit more lenient. I mean, even in the high school level, it's kids, so you got to be a little bit more strict. But even we had a high school didn't shake hands before the game. I just think, man, but they shook hands with the teams after the game.
Right.
So I didn't really see it is that big of a problem. Especially in rivalry games, it happens. I watched Hampton and Phoebus do it every game for a couple of years. And back in the day, no one said anything about it. So, I just feel like it's a gladiator sport. You're literally going out there and putting your hands on somebody.
It's a violent game.
Yeah, trying to knock somebody's helmet off. So, I just feel, but you shake hands afterwards. It's all good afterwards. But I have seen disrespect. Now, I've seen a certain school then shake a certain school hands after a state championship game here in 757, and I thought that was crazy. After winning a state championship, you're not going to go shake the other team's hand, and that's disrespectful. Wasn't the losing team that didn't shake hands with the winning team that just walked off the field after.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought that was a little crazy, but yeah, a lot of sportsmanship stop fights and stuff like that, like dunking on a kid and standing over him. And then he got to go to school Monday, and everybody, he's on ESPN, he's on overtime, and it just saves the embarrassment of bullying, I guess. At the high school level for sure, so I can see that. Just the embarrassment factor and some things, but I just feel like some stuff you definitely have to be lenient about, the trash talk. It happens in the heat of the moment. So as long as you're not saying any crazy slurs or any language that's want to go fight. But but I understand what people how people feel about it though. Certain rules being in place.
I think showing emotion does not mean you're not winning with dignity.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's a very, I'm a baseball maniac, right? And I love bat flips. I think bat flips are awesome because think about it, right? And I'm going to use the Jose Bautista example in 2015 playoffs. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but they were losing to the Rangers in the playoffs, and they were at home. We're the Blue Jays, and Jose Bautista hit this homer to put them ahead. If you think about that, 66,000 people going nuts. You hit a home run. He bat flips. It was just the sickest thing I've ever done. I've never done anything that cool and never will, right? But it got some people but I love emotion. I love seeing the emotion in sports. I think there is an over the top when you start. You said disrespect. When you start directing that towards your opponent.
Yep.
But I love seeing guys do well. I worked so hard for this, and look what I did when the lights were shining brightest.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier when we talked, I'm all for celebration. It builds the culture no matter what sport. I literally, whether it was field hockey, I've seen a swim celebration, right? I've seen it all. Yeah. So it's not really dictated off of that. It's just more so for me now, the things that, because, typically, back in the day or, some time ago now, you would see a new dance. It'd be majority of dances, right? But now we replicate situations, right? We do a lot of things that might come off the wrong way, but we're insinuating, just seatbelting or strapping a player, right, in a sense. But we might do different things to put off a different image. And the people that don't know the context to that, it could look a different way for you, for your family, and for the organization that you're a part of. And it's just some of the things that we decide to do, we just got to think a little bit harder about the choices we make when we start to overly present our emotion in a sense, right? We gotta understand that we're a business, right? And what you put off is what people like. Again, I mean, it could be looked at as a great way, in a great light as well. You got Justin Jefferson, right? You remember the gritty. He actually didn't make it, but after doing, making such a great play and then doing that dance, I mean, look what it did.
Yeah.
Look what it did. It helped him. It helped the person that made it. It did so much, and now, like, people are still doing that over the world today. And I just think it's things that maybe we can stick to kind of, draw ourselves away from that line of, any type of derogatory meanings, anything like that. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Of course, let's just keep it clean and, let the guys have fun. I hear different things. Yes, the language has changed a little bit.
Sure.
The barriers and what they're allowed to say. It's definitely an issue. It's not a big one. It's something that we can fix as a collective. But other than that, I'm all for it. I'm all for continuing to embrace what you work so hard for. A lot of the people in the stands don't see the two-a-days, right? They don't see the early mornings, the late nights, and all that. So we work so hard for this opportunity and this chance. And then when it comes, your body just doesn't know what to do, right? You know what to do all the way up until you hit that pylon, hit the end zone, and then after that, man, anything, right? You just never know.
Right.
Come on now. We've seen celebrations where a player got so hyped, ran up, jumped and bumped one of his teammates and then fell midway. So like, you didn't plan that, right? But I mean, it was just a part of it. It was just a part of it, something that you can laugh at later on. And again, as long as it's not disrespectful, as long as it's not hurting yourself as a brand, as a business, because your body is a business, as an athlete, and the institution that you're representing and your family, I think it should be good. I think we should be lenient on it, but definitely watch, because we don't. I'm not interested in anything that's considered too much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just doing it the right way, the bat flips, the dances, whatever that looks like. Just keeping it cordial.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And Dom, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's an interesting comparison, but I work a customer service job, and once every other day I hear customers say, you do such a good job. Customer service is fading. The people at the DMV act like somebody put a gun to their head, and made them go to work today. I feel like.
Have you ever been to the DMV, sir? That would be the response.
I mean,
anyway, go ahead.
For real, honestly. But in that regard, I feel like the sportsmanship, the specifics around it is just starting to fade. I feel like the boundaries are starting to be pushed, and I feel like nobody's having accountability. Because that doesn't just come from nowhere. It has to be, you're in a culture that allows for that. You're not being, some of that is not being coached in the right way. Some of that, Drew, it just comes out. But like, there is a boundary in which, like, it should never be crossed. Like, these athletes, they put blood, sweat, and tears into it, and I understand, sometimes it's gonna come out, but it's like, the excess things, pointing at a player, shooting at a player,
that's too much.
It's just too much, and it crosses the, the boundaries of the sport itself. And I think that, naturally, when those things happen, like when it's time to celebrate, like, it should just be talked about, like, what, for coaches, no matter what sport it is, what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And until somebody, has the accountability, because ultimately we're talking about the high school round. These are kids, and kids only do what they see in front of them. They reciprocate what they see.
And even when you talk about the youth, you're talking about the high school round, because that's who they're watching.
That's who they're watching, and that has influence, going down. And I just think that I don't have any problem with emotion in the game. It makes the game better, because, like, at a baseball game, how much emotion is there really? You 66,000 people, you hit that grand slam, and it's like, oh, it's time to, the home run, and it's time to celebrate in some kind of way, because you worked hard for that. But don't bat flip, don't throw it at the opponent, don't throw it in the dugout,
right, exactly.
Point at the fans,
stare down the pitcher,
stuff like that. Just get yours in, and because everybody works hard for it. Sportsmanship is about showing the opponent that you understand. Like, we won. We understand that y'all are the losers, okay, but we understand that everybody works hard. Y'all worked hard to get to this point, and so did we. And we just, today, somebody had to lose, and it was not us. And I just think that the respect factor. So in culture, we're losing respect for each other. Like, a lot of people don't tend to have that, and I just think we need to get back to a point of being able to just collectively celebrating each other. Even when it comes rivalries. To it helps rivalry. Don't you hate them on the field, but once we're off the field, like, hey man, shake their hand. You did a good job. You grinded for it, and we just came out on top today. And I just feel like it has to be a clear boundary put in order to not cross that. So
especially at the high school level when you're teaching a lesson, right? I mean, you're teaching. We talked about a couple weeks ago. We talked about the percentage that actually plays in college. I mean, you're teaching these folks how they're going to be young men and women, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think that there are lessons there too. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. It's like sometimes in these 7-on-7s, it's not regulated by VHSL officials. So I've been at 7-on-7s and I've seen it's some crazy stuff going, but it's like, get it out now.
Right.
As because right now they're in the middle of grinding for it right now.
Yeah.
So I understand sometimes it's going to come out, but these are the times where they're supposed to be shown, hey, this is what we're going to do. You can celebrate this way. We're not going to tolerate this. This is good. This is bad. Clearly identifying that, because they're only going to do what you allow as the person in authority over them too.
Do you guys think we're getting away from act like you've been there before? You know what I mean? Because, there are some times where you'll see, and I think hyperbole is a big thing in sports coverage where, incredible, amazing, unbelievable. And when at the end of the day, it was good. But, if you make a good catch, then you stare down a guy and all this stuff. Are we getting away from act like you've been there before?
Well, I think so, because a lot of the people that are winning right now, they've been there before. It's not like a lot of people that are coming from new organizations winning for the first time or anything like that. A lot of people that are winning right now, they have won in the last 5 years or so on to speak, majority of them.
Yep.
So yes, we are, because a lot of them have been here before, and we're still having these types of conversations. But nonetheless, again, it might be some that were maybe sit on the bench around that time when they were there before, or maybe they just transferred into the organization and they haven't been there before. The truth behind it is a lot of us have not been there before, so that's something to take into account. But then again, yes, it is that. It is that everything is so microwave, and I believe that a lot of things are more lenient to the way that we just do things. Just going back, like I said, back in the day, you didn't see too much of a cornerback or a safety that was on the opposite side of the field mouthing off or talking back and forth with a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And years ago, at the end of the day, the first and foremost, understanding that was a grown up. Number two, that was a coach, and number three, he's not my coach. So,
right.
So
right, because it takes two to tango, right?
Absolutely.
Because if the coach is barking back, then it's like I don't remember the two schools who were playing, but to piggyback off what you're saying, then the other coach gets involved.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have coaches yelling across the field at each other.
You can see where the emotion can start to arise, right? And then now with that going on, maybe the other coaches and he's standing behind them right here in this current moment. That gives fuel to that player and his goal might not to be to mess up the image of himself and or do anything out of line, but it's almost like getting the okay to, right? Because we're in this space and this culture. If I was in school right now, it would probably be a whole lot different, but that's what this gladiator sports presents for us. But again, I just want people to be mindful of it as times are changing. And to go back to answer your question, we are getting away from being here before, like that Kobe mentality. A lot of people were fans of Kobe. He'd make some of the craziest shots over and over, right? But his face kind of remained the same. His emotion remained the same, even when he lost. You couldn't really tell, but you knew that he was going to get back into that lab, that gym that night.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So again, I don't think we present like we've been here enough. But again, it's something that can be an easy fix. And I think that was a great question. We need to get back to it.
And I also see, professional athletes don't help too. Like that, some college John Morant, there's a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch. Like they're just as cocky too. And then also, we have to understand that, there's a trend. And I honestly think Sean McVay and the Rams started it. Like the younger coaches, our coaches are getting younger, even in high school. Some kids are coming out of high school and coaching 2 years out of high school. So I've been doing this sports book thing for probably about 4 or 5 years now. Before, so I've seen coaches talk to players first. Like we're coming at you, like they do that. It's, like I said, it's a part of the sport. Even in basketball, I know two discipline teams. Most discipline teams I've been around is Woodside basketball, where they make a shot, dunk or something, they get right back to defense. Like Wilson threw him right back to defense. Like he don't even play that. And more, they get a first down, they take the ball, put it right in the middle of the field, touchdown, put it right back, like give it right to the ref immediately.
Yeah.
Like, hurry up. And it's still there some places. People gonna get there somehow, some way. The kids are gonna do it. They're gonna find a way. But it's still there. But like I said, just the examples. Like I was watching today, Maury had to do up downs. I was just at the 707 before I got here, and there was a little 4-year-old, 3-year-old doing up downs with him. So the kids, kids watch from that young all the way up. So it's happening from youth. I was just at a football game last Saturday, of Ramblers versus
Seahawks,
the Seahawks. Yes, the Virginia Seahawks New Youth League. He had kids talking. They talk crazy at age too. They celebrate.
Yeah.
You would thought I was at a high school. You would thought you was at a high school game, NFL game there. Like the kids start talking at 8.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't grow. I mean, it gets there. It gets there like that early. So yeah, it's just where we're going now. And like Dom said, like maybe it is a respect thing. Like we're losing, and it's getting a little bad in some areas, but. Like I said, in certain sports, it can be managed. The refs too, like the refs can't allow it too much too.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, people call the NBA soft now because they blow whistle every, but I mean they're controlled. Like you don't see that many fights in the NBA no more, like you used to.
Hell man.
And there's a lot of celebrations at the pro level that you don't hear about as well. You know, some of them hit the headlines, but it's that $5,000
the fine.
Fee
Right.
That you never heard about. It happens often. It's just the big numbers.
Right. We handle it behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think our son is 9 and he's a shortstop for his baseball team. And society hasn't sunk its claws into him yet because he's out there playing, and he'll like go up to the guy that got the hit and say, "Hey, nice hit, man," while he's playing the field. And here's the thing, like obviously, I'm sure coaches won't want that when he's in high school,
right.
And I'm sure he's not going to do that when he's in high school,
right?
But it's not. It's cool to see.
It's refreshing.
It's refreshing to see just kind of him have the head on his shoulders to recognize, that's still my buddy over there. Yeah. That's still, like a guy who's playing hard and and wow, he hit it pretty well. I'm going to tell him about it, and again, like he's 9. Yeah. In 2 years, he'll probably be, different.
Absolutely.
But it's cool to see.
It's an early stage, and I'm sorry, just going off of that. I mean, you got so many kids on the Peninsula District side, maybe even over at Norfolk. A lot of these kids grew up and played together.
Yeah.
So again, you see a lot of this stuff on the field and all of that. But like even in our comments, if we did a ranking or something, like it could be somebody from Oscar Smith shouting out somebody from Kempsville,
right.
somebody from Kempsville putting on somebody from Western. Like they're still friends.
Yeah.
They're still friends. They still support each other. When they're at these camps together, and there's other people around. Like we just had a camp 2 weeks ago. We had a lot of Maryland, North Carolina, and different players there. But I mean, you can see our guys, around one another, taking those reps together, learning from one another. I mean, they're all still friends and still good. I mean, it's bickering back and forth about a game coming up or anything like that. But other than that, I mean, it's still a good culture. It's a great culture around here still. It's just about it's just maintaining the on-field stuff. These guys are locked in.
As society shifts, it's important that we have the coaches and the people that are the coaches and the parents, and it takes a village. So it's important that though society may change, that we instill the culture and the ethics and the morals that we want the players, that we want them to show on the field. Can't just let them do whatever.
Well, and again, I know we said this when we had the transfer conversation. We have no team in mind when we're talking about this. Yeah. Actually, this was kind of sparked more from like a professional sense, from where I was thinking about it, and we see it trickle down, as Key, you were saying. I just think it's interesting to see kind of like how one, it's changed. My dad always used to call them hot dogs. Oh, these guys are being hot dogs out there, but he and
I get where he was getting at.
You know what I mean? Like he and me, like we have different like philosophies on this now, especially because I've started doing this, and you start to realize, hey, I mean, like it can be fun, it can be fun, and let a guy, whatever, but but I think it's interesting just the how we define. Like what's acceptable and what maybe is pressing the line. So it's cool to hear your guys' perspective on that.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. It's simple. I think just maintaining it and having fun while doing it. Having fun, that's the biggest thing. And again, it's not fun losing.
No.
to put the losing team or the following team in that position where it's just like, all right, you lost.
Now you might that's what it is.
It can be a lot. So just being able to kind of watch that, and everybody again walks away with the fulfillment of having fun and chasing that dream, chasing that mission. I think that's all in all that's what really counts. And then after that state championship, maybe 2-3 weeks, some people maybe 3-4 months, you'll feel it, you'll understand. It was just it was all worth it all in all, and we don't want little things like that to mess up what it looks like.
Get in the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, you're not defined by. You shouldn't be defined by the player you are. You should be defined by the human that you are.
I agree.
That's something
100%.
that we talked about with Coach Dreamin a couple weeks ago. And so, if that's one thing that anybody can take, and insert into the blueprint of their lives, it would be that.
You put that on a T-shirt. I'm your first customer.
Right. That was a good one.
That was good. Wait, I do want to give you guys a chance because I know we're entering the summer months, and what's the summer look like for Sports Plug 757? I know you were busy today, and I'm sure that's going to carry over through the summer. But we're going to blink our eyes. It's going to be football season. What happens with you guys between now and then?
Coming out of spring, rolling into the summer. I mean, just a whole lot of intel, a whole lot of action coming up. I know my partner Key is going to go into a little bit about that, but we've already gotten started, from the camps and monitoring official visits and just being a part of a lot of the jamborees, or what I say, or 7-on-7 tournaments and things like that. Again, it's not all the way just like 11-man, and of course they're not equipped, but again, this gives us a way too early aspect in a lot of things where we can start talking about our sleepers, start talking about for people to watch this season, and everybody doesn't get a chance when the season starts. In 7-on-7, you just might get a chance to see everybody, even the newcomers and the people that's been around for a while. So we got a lot of exciting things, but I want to let my two partners talk on that as well.
Oh yeah, so we got a lot of exciting things coming this summer. We have a docu-series coming out for the 2 days. We're going to go to different schools and just capture a full day of how it is to be a football player at that school. So we're going to start that. I know the day period starts Monday.
I believe so.
Go for 2 weeks. So when we come back, we're bright into the heat of again, right back into pass. That came so fast. Like,
every season, every year it gets faster.
Every year it gets faster.
Yeah. But right now, we just 7-on-7 season. I'm about to end pretty sure this weekend. Dom been everywhere, so he has a lot of intel. We have a good look at most of the starter quarterbacks now in the whole 757. So we're the whole state area. We cover a little bit of North Carolina now.
Yeah, totally.
In Maryland. So we got a good look at who's starting and where in most of the positions, all the transfers now they're in, and it's starting to look good for the season. We have our 6U, actually, the Plug Boys 6U. They go to Houston next in July 27th.
Wow.
July 25th through the 27th. They made it to nationals for the Junior Olympics.
Yeah.
So they go compete against the best in the nation.
That's so cool.
Next month.
It is crazy.
Yeah. So they're getting ready to go. We have the EF Classic. The best youth football teams in the DMV, North Carolina, even Georgia is coming straight to Virginia Beach to come compete. And one of the biggest jamborees I've ever been a part of.
It's an annual event.
It's annual.
Every year.
Wow.
So shout out Robert EF and his team over there for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So you guys, is there a summer? I mean, my goodness.
You
guys.
That's the problem.
I think a lot of what we've seen. We were at the College Pro Days, right? Then that led into the Tidewater Showcase, and then we were at the ODU Showcase, and so we've seen the area grow and collaborate together, and that has been it's been a very nice to be a part of, to see the culture shift, because it hasn't always been that way. Recently I was at, Key hit one today, I hit one today as well, but for the past 2 weeks I was at Green Run, and Green Run had a 7-on-7. It was them, Booker T was there, Granby was there, there's somebody else I'm missing, forgive me. Hickory, Oscar Smith were all there, and so we were watching them for a couple of weeks. Then we shifted today. I was at Deep Creek. I had a chance to see, some of these players you don't get to see outside of the season at all, like Drew was saying. So today I saw Deep Creek, Norview, Granby, Churchland when they were there, and so we're just in the area just trying to, get the kids exposure. That's ultimately the mission of our that's our mission, to get them
Yeah.
something that we didn't have. And so it's been a beautiful part to just be a part of it. And we moving forward. So every week is that like those on the table, but we do have, the bigger events that are coming up like this that we also now have a chance to be a part of.
Yeah.
And it's just continuing to grow.
And it's every given Saturday, just like he named ODU and everything like that. I mean, William and Mary this weekend. It's going to be Philip Sims.
Yep.
It's going to be some action going on. So while all these things are happening, we're learning to be more strategic with it, things of that nature. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But for me, it was great this week, and I believe last week. Like we're in the time now of the official visits, right? So we got to see a lot of, not a lot, but a good bit of Oscar Smith without Travis Johnson being there. And a few other schools as well. I got a chance to see Manchester, right?
Manchester.
They have a big running back room brewing over there. It's
Verona.
No, it's Verona. I'm sorry, Verona.
Yep.
Where they have a big running back room, and I wasn't able to see Sir Paul and the other gentleman that transferred over, Ferguson. But we also in that time got to see a lot of other gyms that they had throughout all of these teams that was over there. So again, I mean, it's a good opportunity within the 7-on-7 things. It keeps us busy, but it's about us being able to put the light on the people who actually have those Friday night lights right on a Friday, and then spending time on these extracurricular type of hours when we can find those diamonds in the rough as well. It's just supporting the mission, putting the light on those who are already being seen. Most importantly, the ones who aren't.
It's going to be a fun football season. We're going to have a lot of fun collaborating this football season, I think, guys. So that was
something
awesome.
in the works,
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt at all. So that does it for this No Limit podcast edition. Thanks very much for being with us. We're going to take a week off next week, but we're coming right back at you in July, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.